We made it, Dan Teston. Hi, everyone. My name's Renee Funk. I am a team leader in Orlando, Florida, and I'm so incredibly excited because is this a little spontaneity, Dan?
Yes. Yes, it is.
It's a little spontaneity. So, Dan Teston, the one and only team leader, and also we need to make sure we mention the true better half that's driving things around there, Tannen Teston.
Yes. Yes, we are a husband-wife team, and she does everything. She's my everything, and she does everything.
Oh, well, we definitely appreciate you both. And let's talk a little bit about what spawns today. We're here to talk about realtors stop buying leads. That's kind of a big title. What brought up this spontaneous live we're doing today?
Yeah, it was we try to help, we always it's one of our giving nature, it's one of the great things that we love to do and collaborate with everybody. And someone name is Chris, he might be on this so hopefully he jumped in today. But he put out a message and was asking about which one should I do? Opsity or Zillow, or is there something else that's shinier out there that I should hop onto? And I just said, listen, spend it on your sphere, and those in your community, and people that you really want to do business with, or an area that you want to do business with. And I left it at that. And ultimately, everybody said, please share your wisdom overall. And I gave everybody, keep in mind, I gave everybody a similar message. And it was just too hard if I just threw a couple of pointers, it probably would have been all right. So I did some direct messaging, and I think it was like 57 people total had reached out and asked for it. And about 23 of them, I think, took me up on it and did it. So if I can say anything to everybody out there, put that ego aside, be open-minded, and just listen in and see what happens. And it was a really quick conversation with those agents that did. I know many of them are going to hop on this as well, but it was definitely all of them. I said, did you get anything out of it? They said, oh yeah, absolutely. So obviously, like we always tell our agents too, the answer is always no if you don't ask, but you gotta sometimes, just listen in, just be that person of pick up the phone and just talk and have a conversation. So
I love that. And I love this topic. So when you had reached out to me, we come from similar backgrounds that we've built businesses, both you and Tannen and the Teston team, and myself and Jeff, really largely on organic reach, on loving on our sphere of influence, on not buying leads, if you will. And let's also just get it out once and for all. This isn't a session where you and I are going to say, don't buy leads. It's not great. It
correct.
doesn't work. The reality is it works. You can
Correct.
buy leads. You can love on your sphere. You can grow organically. I think where you and I are coming from in this conversation, at least where I'm passionate on the soapbox a bit, is that we as realtors are so often marketed to by shiny objects and buy this lead. And I believe that the challenge we have is not identifying number one, what is a lead? Because a lead is not a transaction on a platter. A lead is a human knocking on the door to give us an opportunity to earn the relationship. But number two, the other thing is, oh, friends, please love on those who already know, like, and trust you first. And then make sure you build a scalable business plan with a roadmap that at some point might or might not lead you to the question mark, okay, should I bring in other pipelines by buying leads? There's so much we can do for free first. And I think that's what you and I are going to dive into today.
Absolutely. I love the way you explained that right there. It was about how just the relationships and giving and ultimately creating that to where somebody comes back and says, all right, I trust in you enough. Now I am going to give you my business, or give you my dad's business, or my neighbor, or whoever that just asked me. I think the way that you presented it, I got to write that down. So all of you at home, by the way, if you are not got your pen and paper out in front of you, please write it down. I told everybody on that message, I said, get a pen and paper, because I don't, you can listen in, and that's what'll happen. And the next thing you know, what did he say again? What was that one thing? Write it down. There's a proven statistics have said if you write it down, you have a lot higher chance. I don't know the exact number, but taking it into memory and then implementing it and putting it into action. So write it down for sure. And I'm gonna write down what Renee just said a little minute ago so I can keep track of that.
Well, it is true, right? At the end of the day, our role, and it's a blessing that we get to serve our communities. And if we look at it from the perspective of these are all humans that are giving us an opportunity, the reality is we should start first with the humans that already know us and just love on them. So with that, let's talk a little bit about, what top two tips, Dan. Like, how do you approach a realtor with the top two tips you would give to say, stop it, don't buy those? Let's start here first.
I'm going to focus heavy on relationships first off. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you want to back it up a little bit, I'm going to say community just as easy. And then within the community, you have relationships. Right now, you have neighbors on your street next to you. It is so common that we find people like, I don't never met my neighbor. We do a when he drives by or they or she drives by, but we don't really do much more than that, you know. But genuinely trying to have that, you want to know who's next door to you. Maybe you might have a lot of common at the end of the day. So those are going to be your easiest ones. What is more painful than the house two doors down going on the market, and you'd be like, what? Nobody knows this better than me. I know this guy. I live right here. And you could have been the agent, but yet you never asked or never went over there and talked to them or said hi or made it approachable at the end of the time. So, relationships, I'm going to stand as probably a pillar at the end of the day. It's going to be how all business runs overall. It's going to be how it's going to be the driving force. You know, people, can they work with you? You know, at the end of the day, do they find some similarities or commonalities? So that's going to be probably my largest. What are your pillars, Renee?
Oh my goodness. So I love that you mentioned the community building, and I want to, you can throw it to me, but I'm not done. You have to unpack that more because you mentioned neighborhood. So let's unpack that. What is specifically do you mean about a neighborhood? Because I already know what you're going to say, but all of our viewers, which by the way, viewers, please type your questions in. If you have questions for either one of us, we're happy to answer them. Dan and Tannen are doing a amazing job at building community in your neighborhood and beyond. So how do we get to know our neighbors? What do you do? Do we door knock?
Oh,
Do we what are y'all doing? I know what you're doing.
Honestly, once you said this earlier too, there's so many shiny things that you can hop onto and do to just got to pick one of them. So let's back it up a little bit. So ultimately, to get more involved in the community, you got to do something in the community at the end of the day. So me personally, I joined up on what's called ARC. ARC stands for Architectural Review Committee here in Orlando or Central Florida or Florida in general. We have a lot of HOAs, and HOAs have boards and committees and all these other things. You can't just paint your house any color you want to. You got to ask for permission if you can paint it, overall. And there's a palette and so forth. So I'm going to back that up just one little second here. I want to share something real fast, little nugget. One thing is that I tell all of our agents and agents that I come in contact with in general that I say, like, listen, at the end of the day, we all have the same amount of time. If at my busy life, which I have 4 kids, so one just moved out, so I've got 3 kids, and I have a full book of business that I do a full-time job. My wife does too. And yet we can donate a little bit of time, an hour, 2 hours, whatever you can to your community. Then I assure you, you better be doing the same thing at the end of the day. So we just naturally wanted to help. They needed the position filled. I jumped on board and started helping out at that point in time. It's the simplest job, by the way. It's the easiest thing. It was a great to be able to help people. You're always going to get a disgruntled, I want to paint my house pink. I'm like, I can't, I get it. Can't allow you to do that kind of a thing. That just transgressed little by little to conversations talking about trends that maybe I see in real estate. And maybe you don't want to do that quite with your yard because that might make it hurt in the future upon selling. And it just openly opened up the book. From there, my wife, she got big into the PTA. We have a great school system on our side of town, and she got heavily involved in PTA and giving back on that one. Once again, giving up time. We all know not everybody wakes up and says, "I can't wait to go do HOA stuff." But it was once you kind of get it and get it in the flow, it's very calm and very easy, and it doesn't take up that much time from you. Those two things pillared into myself. Now I am went to the board. I was asked to take a board position because somebody was leaving the community, and I took that one, and that transgressed. I'm now the president of our HOA, which is roughly 1,268 homes. It is a great place to sell when you only got to go 5 minutes from your house to do an open house or a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment. And not to mention, you get to learn more neighbors. So that's where we started at, and that's where we give the most at. Do you want me to keep going into that, or you got some more you want to tell me?
Well, I love that you're mentioning about the community because whether an agent decides to serve in some capacity, right? You're doing very noble things, serving in your local board, and Tannen being involved at school. Those are great examples. And also, I like to remind agents we can scale our level of involvement. I do not volunteer on my HOA board. But we have done community events before. And so, what I mean by that is you can still leverage your local community HOA to create an event. Jeff and I have done events where we went to our HOA, it was all approved. We said we would like to provide a pizza and ice cream night in our community. Can we have your permission to do that? And if I create the flyer and I create and handle all the logistics and the budget, all the neighbors have to do is show up. Would you be so kind as to just email this invitation out to all the neighbors? And that's creating a sense of community. And what that's doing is, to your point, you're donating your time to serve in a capacity. Your goal with that is to give yourself a fighting chance to meet more community members so that you can earn the relationship that will hopefully earn you business in the future. And I think that whether you serve or you become involved by having events, or I mean, didn't you guys do a block the street
Yes.
party recently? Yeah, right.
Yes.
So even
Yep.
at all different scales, you might even have 5 neighbors come out. You can do it as small, intimate, or as large as you want.
So let's start on that a little bit. There is everybody has access to this. This is not just something that's local to us. This is across the country. It's National Night Out. Here in Florida, we push ours off a little later because we've got some unbearable heat and rain that comes through this time of year. I think it's coming up. I don't have the exact dates. Our date. I'm always keen to our dates, and they're like in October. So in October. Will be the National Night Out, and let me give you a little background of what this is that you'll do. National Night Out, you will go and you get a permit from the county for your area. I think it's like $50 or less, $30, something like that. Once you have the permit, you have to have barricades. As you go to any barricade place, you can make your own. We actually had the police come out one year because it is associated with your local police department, and they blocked the street off with their car. And on both ends, you have all the neighbors on your street on your for a certain distance sign a little thing that says that you give permission to block down the street. And we passed out and we told everybody on our community page that we're going to have this event and come over and do it. Not everybody, obviously. I've got 1,268 homes. That's a lot of people. That would be one heck of an event.
That's one
But
big street, Dan.
yes. But of course, there were people that wanted to come from other areas because we have 13 sub communities within our master community. So of course, a lot of them wanted to come. But we encouraged everybody. You should all do this. Tannen's the one. She's the one that got this and took it by the horns. I just do all the barricade work and burger flipping and things like along this line.
Flipping
But
burgers, Dan.
well, I'll be honest with you, and I'm going to use that a little bit too, because that kind of hurt the first time we did it, but we learned a lot from that first time. But it was great. There was neighbors on our street. I like you live on my street. Like I've never seen you. Do you take a different way to your house? Because I've never even seen you drive by before. But it was such a great thing. Everybody was just blown away with it. Obviously, with COVID, we weren't able to do that, but we are getting back in the swing of it now, and we're going to come up with a new way to come out this year just the same way. So we did burgers. I supplied burgers. We supplied burgers and dogs. We had our neighbors bring a dish of their favorite. We put the big pop-up tents all through the street to make sure we didn't get our Florida rainstorm didn't come in. We ran lights across the street because the sun goes down a little bit more quicker in October. And the kids had the scooters and the footballs and the slingshot light things up into the air and had just a great time. Kids were playing with other kids they probably don't get to play with very often as well. And it was for the most part free other than a couple of small things, and you got to know all those people. That transpired into several listings, by the way, on our street, just by getting people to know. They knew we're realtors, but when you get to see somebody face to face, it breaks down that whole like, oh, okay, I didn't know if you're approachable or not, and now that I see and I've hung out and had a couple of beers and a hot dog, you're definitely somebody I relate with. And now that we relate, I'm going to give you my business at the end of the day. So yeah, National Night Out, look it up in your area. I'd be easy. Of course, anybody can reach out to me and I'll pull the links for you and send them over. But it is Google is a fantastic thing. Google it up in your area and catch that National Night Out.
And also, we don't have to, it's great that there's a national night out, but we don't have to wait. And,
Correct.
I think, Dan, to your point about you were creating another environment for community to be built, for community to be strengthened. And I always like to remind agents, if an agent says, okay, but I don't have the budget of Dan
Yeah.
and Tan and Teston, I don't have the budget that will allow me to do 100 people. We have to get out of our own way and realize that these types of events, whether it is, getting together with 2 or 3 neighbors to do a potluck, no matter the size, You can grow into larger sizes. Just get into action. So if someone loves yoga, go out with two of your friends or neighbors and go to yoga together. It's finding the reminder as sales individuals that we must identify our passions and our interests, and we must orbit around that. Because what will happen is, if you love having a community event and that's something you're passionate about, you're going to inherently attract a relationship through that with multiple people who will have similar interests. So that's where the magic happens. And these are the things when people say to you, Dan, how are you not buying leads?
Mhm.
Once again, because you're out in the community and you're really focused on, that saying, being the mayor of your town. We are all realtors and we all should be the mayor of our town, so that when people think they need a resource, they're calling Dan and Tannen Teston, right? Like
Correct.
that.
Yeah.
And we want that to be the repeat. I have a question for you. I would like to know, what do you say when a realtor says to you, I don't have a sphere of influence and I don't know anybody. So how do I even begin to do this? I have to buy leads because I don't know anybody.
I think if you don't know anybody, because I got a lot of this on the calls that I did, they just moved to a whole new city and they didn't know, and I that it goes right back to the top again. And that is going to be relate. Get out there and meet some people. Where else are you going to do? Now, there's a couple ways you can look at this. One is obviously, I think that in your phone, we always talk about these two. In your phone, there's like, I think you got better statistics on this, but there's quite a few people that are in there that you just don't know where they're at that want to, and start by calling some of them. Hey, I'm new to the area. We want to grab a cup of coffee. Want to grab a beer or something to that nature, and create that relationship little by little over time. You can't just do one thing and say, let the business flow. It's gonna come, here it comes. I did a national night out and I didn't get a single business. You got to continue to do it. But getting out there and meeting people is going to be the easiest way. When you drop off the kids at school, stay after, talk with some of the parents, delegate a little bit of time over and just start having those conversations. Oh, hey, I see our kids have the same teacher. Oh, what brought you to this area? Are you from here? And have that dialogue. And then it starts up and they're going to ask you, well, where are you from? Oh, well, I just moved here recently. And by the way, just started a new career as a realtor. And that's how it comes out naturally, and start that process. But yeah, if you don't have the sphere, grow it. I tell my kids all the time, you can never have enough friends. I mean, like they thought, well, this, I'm like, just keep allowing friends to keep coming in. You never know when a school year changes, and you got old little Bobby that was a pain last year, but he's your best buddy this year. So you never know. Keep making those friends.
I will agree with you 1,000%, and then remind each and everybody that is watching and will watch this replay that even if you just plopped into a new town yesterday, you're going to be a consumer throughout your days. So if we put our consumer hat on, and if we are full body paying attention to where we patron, then we can see that there's additional opportunities. And what do I mean by that? Okay, and I have a list, because I have a list. Whenever I'm talking to an agent, I literally copy and paste this and send it to them. So I'm happy to share it with everybody. And it's not my list. I think at some point I just Googled this, so I can't even take credit for it. But we need to remember your mail carrier, your
Mhm.
dentist, hair salons. Sorry, Dan, that doesn't apply to you. Sorry, everybody. But it
Or
works.
Jeff for that matter.
That's right. My husband, he has the same barber as you. Who does your dry cleaning? Who does your manicure, pedicure? Where did you purchase your car from? Who washes your car? Who do you know at your children's school? What convenience store do you go to? I don't know about you, but I go to the same grocery store all the time, and I'm a big fan of our grocery store. And you get to know like the same people at the deli
Yeah.
counter. Mention I'm a realtor in the area, right? Say it. It's okay to ask for business. We don't want to spew business all the time. I'm sure you weren't running around while you're flipping burgers, reminding people you're a realtor left, right, and center. That wasn't the environment for it. You were building relationships. But there's times when we're out where we have to straight up say, and I'll give you an example. I was at a dentist, and this was years ago. Not my current dentist, but years ago, I went to a dentist that was specific for my kiddos. And boy, oh boy, we know those dental bills can be kind of high. I literally handed my credit card over and said, when I got the bill, I'm very grateful you're taking care of my kiddos. In order for me to keep paying this bill every time, could you please remember I'm a realtor? And I
That's
laughed.
great.
And it's kind of true. It's actually a lot true. Who do you know that might be considering buying or selling? Because if we don't share with all of the spaces that we are a consumer within,
Hmm.
I don't know who we can share with. Like, that's the time I can keep coming to you. Will you be so kind as to keep me in mind when?
Hmm. I love that too.
So
And
I
you know,
have
I
dentists, principals, coaches, teachers, children's friends, spouses, friends, extended family, everywhere you are that you're a consumer. Think about that for the next week, everywhere you go. Where can I go in this environment and build a relationship and let them know what I do for a living, because you value the service they're providing? Anybody that they might know, you would be very grateful for them to keep you in mind as well.
You're right. So obviously we always hear through other agents too, wear the name tag. I have some embroidered shirts, which kind of people recognize it. And of course, I'm 6'4", 260, a shaved head. You can't hardly miss me. But it's a matter of just repeat overall. And they go, oh, I see you're in real estate. And that starts in, I always ask the same question. Do you own or rent a home? And that starts like, oh, well, I'm renting now. I'm thinking about it. Like, you should own, because clients today in today's market, they've got some tremendous amount of equity in the last few years that has been ridiculous and skyrocketing still. And they go, yeah, yeah, you're right about that. And the answer is always no if you don't ask. So I
Yeah.
always like to tell our agents and people that I've spoken to kind of stay on that and keep ask for that business. Don't be scared, for sure.
I love what Shauna just said. Hi, Shauna Leone. We appreciate you. Shauna said, buy a few shirts and or hats instead of leads. Yes.
That's true though, because
Right?
maybe I guess you can go back, and I heard somebody else had said this recently, and it was about like, are you really? Aren't you still buying leads? I'm like, yeah, they're way more. You can spend 200, 300, $500 a month on a lead source that you're getting leads. You have no idea who they are, or I could take that same money or substantially less of it and donate. Do burgers and dogs. I think I did it. I think it was like $150 that I spent on that one. I did way more burgers. I did burgers and dogs and sodas and Capri Suns and all this stuff, but I came up to about $150 of what I spent. But one transaction, I get the $150 back, at the end of the day. And that's what you're looking for. Shirts, hats, instead of leads is another great way to look at it too. I think that's phenomenal. And that's cheap enough, $25 for an embroidered shirt. We've once again make a connection talking about what Renee said. We've got a fantastic person in our community that we've come to know, and she does bedazzling, and Tannen has made some shirts. You've seen them before. Those like sparkly testing team
I have one.
shirts. Oh yeah, and she makes them here in our community. So guess what? They ultimately came back to us. They ended up wanting to buy a condo out on the beach, and they came back to us looking for that business the same way. So definitely love that one as well.
I have two things I want to mention on that. So one is regarding supporting small business.
Yeah.
Another way to open up great dialogue and be in strong relationship with community members is anytime you're supporting a small business, remember how impactful it is in our business when we receive a review.
Mhm.
So I call this the consumer hat moment. Whenever we're receiving service, especially if it's phenomenal, we should be like full body taking inventory of how the service is being deployed to us, how that's making us feel, and how we can deploy that in our business, because great service is great service. It translates across all industries. But
Mhm.
I feel that often in the real estate industry, because real estate can be transactional, an area for improvement on a lot of realtors is they don't realize how much service plays a part. So if we have our consumer hat moment and we feel great service, 9 times out of 10, you're going to realize if you pay attention to your demeanor, you probably are smiling. You might have that, oh my gosh, that made me feel good, so good, right? So
Absolutely.
take inventory of that and deploy it. Next level, leave positive reviews for companies who you find value in the service they provide. And your
Absolutely.
community members will just love you to no end because you know the value that has, right? And it sparks conversations. When you leave a positive review, especially for small business owners, like the amazing company that Tannen uses for the shirts,
Mhm.
which should get a shout out. If Tannen's watching, she needs to drop that in chat because I'm not remembering the name, but it is a great company. I've used them.
Mhm.
You leave a positive review, and then that company calls you and says, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much." Right? It's a
Absolutely.
great dialogue opener. The other thing I wanted to mention is the phone. Okay, before we buy leads, can we all just once and for all realize that right now in our phone, most realtors have a minimum of 2 to 3 deals waiting for
Mhm.
them?
Absolutely.
And when we talk to realtors who are considering buying leads, 9 out of 10 times when I say, open your phone, go to your contacts, scroll to the bottom,
Oh my
read the
goodness.
number to me. My number's 892. I'm making Dan do it. I think we've done this before, but if you're watching, how many people are in your contacts in your phone?
1,232.
Oh my
It's a
gosh.
lot.
So Tom Ferry has said, and there's different stats, right? Oh,
Yeah.
Dan Teston. So I'm 882. I don't know if y'all can see that, but Tom Ferry has said it before. There's a lot of industry leaders who share a statistic that about 5 to 8% of the people in your database are going to buy or sell in real estate in the next 12 months.
Hmm. That's true.
So Dan Teston, do that math.
You're asking the wrong guy here on this one.
So why we're not going start, and I literally mean it, start at A and go to Z and call
Hmm.
every human that's in this is one database.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a pitchy thing. It can be, we
How are
can
you?
approach things a couple different ways. We can obviously say, how are you? But you don't even have to ask them for the business. Ask your contacts, who do you know who may be considering buying or selling?
Write that down. That's a good one.
And then after you're done with the contacts in your phone, then we go to our Facebook friends, and then we go to our Instagram friends, and then we go to our LinkedIn connections. Do we think we have a lot of contacts that we can probably start with before we buy another lead?
It is tough though, and a lot of it for people is like get off that whole I don't want to come off, but you just sometimes you just maybe it's just a conversation that you come in like, hey, I saw you on Facebook, congratulations on the new grandbaby, or hey, I saw your son's going off to military or going to college or whatever the case may be. That's how you start the conversation and let it come out naturally too, just the same way. Make it easy, make it fun. That's who doesn't want to talk about babies at the end of the day. So I want to talk
Well,
about. I saw Warren had made a message earlier about what was it on your first one, Warren, about your local pastor, nonprofit, and so forth. I think that's a fantastic way to go. But I got a better one. We just came back from a great event, and the event was talking about how you are your greatest resource. So I'm going to give you a little tip that I do, being the resource in my community, becoming exactly what Warren is saying to do with the pastor, which is fantastic by all means, but ideally, I want them to come to me at the end of the day. So what it is, it's kind of funny on one level. I'm a Florida boy, true and true. I'm a second generation here at Orlando, and it's not common or not uncommon to you to see a snake, a frog, a raccoon, or whatever in the pool, in your enclosure, a bat, something like that. I'm that guy. Unless it's like some sort of anaconda or whatever in someone's pool, I am going to go pick up that snake and get it
I'm
outside.
writing this
So.
down. Dan Teston, snake remover. I actually had a snake. I didn't know I could call you. So everybody write that down.
Oh,
What's your
whoa.
cell phone number again?
But it's true, but it's a resource, and I'm going to piggyback, and I'm going to show you where this goes to with that. So I become the one for and I'm just quick. I'm Johnny on the spot. So all of you got your phone, set up your notifications. If you've got a community page, set the notifications that notifies you. Ding. I don't. It's not always something I want to know or talk about, but it might be something. So, in here in Orlando this last year, we had a lot of insurance companies that bellied up or whatever. And what do you know? Everybody's like, I got it. I just got dropped. I need a new insurance company. Becoming that guy, I got my insurance guy or found an insurance guy that wasn't too busy and started tagging him. I found actually an insurance guy in our community, or Tannen found an insurance guy in our community and started giving him the business. Like, hey, get him to go to him for your get your insurance taken care of. And it was like once again given to a local person, given to somebody else in the community, but being that resource. You want embroidery? That embroiderer lives in my community. Every time somebody, of course, a lot of other people do this too now, but being that person that tags them, hey, she's the one. She does our shirts for our company. They're amazing. I love her. That kind of becoming that resource. And eventually it's going to translate to real estate, lending, title, whatever it is that you have in your business. It all works at the end of the day. So you be the resource. But yeah, Warren, they both all work. So definitely take that note and run with it and do it.
I love that you were talking about being the resource, and oftentimes when I talk to realtors and I say, let's look at your phone, and then they'll say, oh my gosh, what do I say? What do I say? Well, here's another thing you can say when you're calling your sphere is, my team and I value any recommendations that you may have
Oh,
for local vendors, whether it's landscapers, GCs, whether we're talking about insurance companies, whoever it is, right? I would like to ask you, friend, family member, sphere of influence, when you have a great service provider that you've worked with for a long time, would you mind sharing it with me? Because we have a vendor list and we like to make sure our vendor list is ample and filled with a lot of great contacts. So I love leaning on you all to share when you've had a great experience. Now,
like that.
that's a great conversation starter. And it's not an ask, because I think sometimes agents can get in their own head. I don't want to call and pitch people. Well, two
Yep.
things about that. Number one, we are salespeople. Let's remember, right? Number two, we can have conversations and not be pitchy. We can have conversations that truly are about strengthening a relationship, coming from contribution and asking at times for items that can be helpful that they can provide to you. Goes both ways.
It does. I think you're right on the right path there. I mean, that's some great little nuggets right there as far as to get those who people use. I mean, I think we all kind of start to go to Google first, but maybe check in with your instead of going to Google. Some of us know the answer, but go to your community page or friends or giving them a phone call and just finding out from friends and family. I love that one. So I went right back down here in the notes again.
And call your local realtor.
That's right.
Call your favorite realtor, because your favorite realtor is going to have great connections. And also, again, remind everybody, when you have great service, let me know, because I want to add those people to my list. Now, I am very particular about that, fellow realtors. When someone does land on our list, I always like to make sure that it is a service provider that has been utilized for a long time, right? And we just say we've been given this as a recommendation by our friends and family. So let us know if you receive great service or anything less than great service, so we can move them on or off the list.
Absolutely. I got to go in some of the comments here real fast. Love Shelly. Shelly's a fantastic small business. We met some 3 years ago, and I know her business is thriving because we've partnered up, and really does a lot. She is a local stager that we use, and we use her exclusively to stage all of our listings, and she does a phenomenal job. Love to see that. Thanks, Shelly, for all the love too. And Shauna made a note here. Unless it jumps on your head, Renee, I don't remember if you know that one. I'm going to back up and give you a little story here. I'm, like I said, Florida boy. I was showing a house. I do all my, oh, here it is right here. I do all mine with my iPad. I got the big iPad. I just think it has a great screen. I can show what people are doing it. And I was walking out of a listing that had been sitting still for quite a while. And I was typing, walking out the door, and a frog jumped right on the back of my neck. And of course, I didn't know what it was. I'm not scared of frogs at the end of the day, but it was wet, slap, makes a slap noise, hits me, and little girl yelled through my iPad, didn't out to the window, and shattered my whole screen. And I'm like, seriously, a little frog? But man, you don't know when a hit thing hits you on the back of the neck. You don't know what's happening. And anyway, I had to share that little story. Thanks, Shauna, for reminding me. I appreciate that. But
That
that was funny.
I
Funny
was
and
just
costly.
saying, I wish there was a Ring doorbell around to capture that, or,
Oh,
you know, some kind of camera around the house.
it would have been a good one, especially with my high pitch yell to for safety. As of course, I picked it up and threw it outside right after because it was a vacant home. But anyways, moving along, I had to share that one little bit.
Let's touch on, before we wrap, we're nearing our end of time, but let's touch on social media for a minute. You know, one of the strategies that I've utilized for a long time to stay in touch with people and make sure that the platforms of social media actually give me a chance to take what's online offline is to be intentional with what we do while we're on social media. It's real easy. We all know to just sit and scroll and scroll and scroll. When we are going to utilize social media, and as realtors, it is a platform for us to utilize, it is a tool in our business. We should be able to be intentional and allocate a certain amount of time each day, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes,
Mhm.
that we commit to going to 5 people in our database, in our social media platform, and looking at their profile and dropping them a meaningful content on something they've recently posted, or
Yeah.
asking a question on a post that they've recently made. And then, you know what else happens by this practice? Even if you take a 15-minute time block each day, is it gives you some nuggets of information that you might look at. That you mentioned having a baby, right? You
Yeah.
might go on to social media for your 5 people a day and you might, oh my gosh, they had the baby. So then what do? Call them.
Yes.
Pick up the phone, right? And it's just a great practice. I think we often overthink things and, oh, I got to spend so much time. No, you don't. If we would
Mhm.
just commit 15 minutes a day to spreading social media love, then your whole world will change. And when we're on social media, if we ask questions that are open ended in the comments section, that has really great impacts because number one, it creates more dialogue. And number two, it's good for the poster when comments come in that are asking questions because it continues to create a dialogue on that post.
You are segueing into something that I want to talk about real quick, and it's going to be one of my little golden nuggets that I want to give everybody. We always say, and I stole this from you, or I'm stealing this from you. Life leaves you clues. Life always leaves you clues. So I want to tell a little story about what it is that we do a little bit behind. Well, when I say we, I say Tannen. Tannen does behind the scenes, and that is here locally. For you that don't know, we have Publix is a huge grocery store. It's pretty much everywhere. Everybody pretty much loves it. You don't have to spend a lot of money for some of these things. You talked about Heimer's hot dogs earlier. Tannen will buy, or she'll send me down. I'll get 10 $10 gift cards, and she sits there and hand writes out 10 these little, and it puts them in there, and it's for babies and things. Maybe somebody was down on their luck. There's so many ways you can look at it, but there's one story in particular that I want to share with everybody about life leaves you clues, and you need to capitalize on it. Kind of going back on social media, if I'm going to derail this for 1 second, and that was we'll see somebody posting a lot of items for sale, like on the marketplace. And then what does that say? They're downsizing or cleaning out. Why are you cleaning out? Maybe they're going to sell. Hey, I see you're selling a lot of items. Are you thinking about selling your home? That's going to be a great little thing. And I hate to segue out.
I
So let's
like
go back
that.
to my story here about the Publix cards. So during the political climate, there was somebody that posted up, and I can't remember the exact nature of the conversation that started, but he complained on social media on our community Facebook page about all I get is all this political spam garbage in my mail every day. And, he had a picture or whatever and was making fun of it. Tannen saw that post and she sent him a card right away and put a little note in there that said, just thought you'd like to have something besides political garbage. And it was a $10 gift card. He
That's
says, he
amazing.
literally goes to the page, blasts us, says, "Oh my God, I literally sat at my mailbox, laughed out loud. I cannot believe it. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much, Tannen and Dan. It totally made my day." That translated, not even 30 days later, into $1 million in closed transactions from selling that property that they were living in and bought one up the road in a different area. So $10 gift card went a long way. So look for those clues, look for that kind of stuff, and jump on top of it. It doesn't have to be $10. It can be a $5. It can just be a card, to be honest with you, 41 cents in postage, but it can also just be a Starbucks or whatever that you feel that might be appropriate to you, and capitalize on that. I think so. Take those messages and run with them for sure, and look for those clues that's out there.
I love that. We this year in 2021, we implemented an integration through our CRM. It's called AM Cards,
Oh yeah,
Appreciation Marketing Cards. There's so many different options. So I'm not at all affiliated with the company and receive nothing for mentioning them, but that's the one we're choosing to work with. One of the reasons is it integrates directly into our CRM. So what that does is it takes the moment that you just mentioned, and really with about one or two clicks it sends the card out for us right through our CRM. And you are so spot on about that. Even if you just send a card and that card is customized to the moment, you are going to have impact beyond your wildest dreams. And then if you want to do a little bit extra, like we ours allows us to put a little gift card in there or send brownies or send a
yeah,
little gesture. um, I don't think we as realtors realize how impactful the mailbox is. And I'm not talking about the email inbox, I'm talking about the actual mailbox. I mean, again, if we put our consumer hat on, what do we get in the mail anymore?
nothing, garbage.
Bills,
It's
bills,
funny.
and not even a
It's
lot of those anymore. That's mostly digital. But think about it: when the whole industry is zigging, sometimes it's beneficial to zag. So if not a lot's going into that mailbox, and Dan is the one sending them a beautiful little note, and Tannen is sending them something that's cheeky and funny, see how that's yielding you? That few moments that it took for Tannen to send that card is yielding you a relationship that will probably last a lifetime because she was a little cheeky. She was
mhm.
paying attention and she was giving you guys a fighting chance to earn business.
Absolutely. It was blew my mind. I was like, we got to do more of this. Who else? Now you're like hawking it. You're like, oh, where's the next one at? Because like I said, he went on and did a great comment to the community about how we're stand up and just amazing. And of course, followed it up with they just helped us close and we got top dollar and all the other things. Shelly, that's on here, she staged that house, helped us sell it, knocked it out of the park as well. So it was look for those clues. Look for those clues. They are fantastic. They're out there everywhere. They're out there in front of you right now. You're probably not even realizing it.
Well, if you and Tannen weren't doing your little time blocks of paying attention to social media and looking to see what those around you have going on in their world, you perhaps could have missed that opportunity.
Hmm.
And oh, by the way, again, I know there was a cost inherited with you sending a card, but ultimately, the act of just being engaged with our sphere and by those that were connected on social media platforms, that act is free. Whether you
Hmm.
decide to, pick up the phone and just call them or send a little note card,
Yeah.
these kind of things are what changes the way we do business. So, any parting words, Dan, before we wrap?
Oh, number one would be to implement the things that you're doing that you heard today. I want to hear from all of you, and I'll reach out to you just the same way, or reach out to me if you want to know more. I want to see what it is that you did, what it is that you implemented, and how impactful did it make, or did it bring you some business, and so forth. I can't wait to see the responses that we'll get. I think that's going to be the ideal. Nothing's better than that, I think, at the end of the day. Seeing somebody, oh, yeah, I did it. I was open minded. I was listening. I put my ego aside. I took a couple of notes. I wrote it down. Like I wrote down like some crazy stuff on mine. And I put it in my little book that I've got over here that I carry everywhere with me just as easy. And put those things to use. Get it out there and get it done.
Oh, I love that. And Shauna brings up a very great
Ooh,
point that I
yes,
and I
yes.
say this all the time. What's the secret sauce? The secret sauce is
Hmm.
not so secret. It's
It's not
consistency and good habits.
very
Consistency and
good.
good habits in this industry will rock your world forever. I love this. I would encourage everybody to drop comments in. We'll pay attention in the replays to any questions that you might have. And if you'd like to hear more about how we can make sure we don't have to buy leads,
Hmm.
you don't have to. Let us
Yep.
know because we'd be happy to come back and talk more. I mean, today's a little top level, but we can unpack this. We could have this
Sure.
conversation for hours and hours.
We really could, to
We
be honest with you. I could go on for
There's a
days.
lot to unpack. All right, Dan Teston, you rock. Say
You
hello
rock.
to your awesome better half. I'm just saying, she rules the world.
She does. She's my queen. I'll keep her.
All
Awesome.
righty. Have a great day. And everybody, thank
Thank
you
you,
for
Renee.
following along. Good to see you,
No,
Dan.
you too. Take care. Thanks a lot and see
All right.
everyone soon.
Bye.
Bye.